guys, and welcome to this Stand to Connect video where I'll be talking all things person-centered counselling. Now, this approach was developed by Carl Rogers, one of the founding fathers of counselling, and it's the approach that we take in CPCAB Levels 2, 3, and 4. So it's a really great theory to get to grips with early on. Without further ado, let's take a look at the person-centered counselling approach. In counselling, there are several major theories or schools of thought that counsellors use to guide their work with clients. Now, each counselling theory provides a different way of understanding the client and their issues and a different framework for how to help them. Person-centred counselling is one of the major counselling theories and, like I said, is a theoretical approach that we will be focusing on in level 2, 3, and 4. Now, person-centered counselling was developed primarily by a psychologist named Carl Rogers, who believed that everyone has a natural desire to grow and reach their full potential, and he called this the actualizing tendency. However, sometimes life's challenges can block this growth. Now, because of this, the actualizing tendency, Rogers believed that clients will naturally come up with their own answers and solutions to their problems during counselling, as long as they're provided with the right support and the right environment. Not only this, but he also believed that the client and not the counsellor is the best person to provide answers and direction because the client understands their situation better than anyone else could. Now, the main aim of person-centered counselling is to help clients to overcome barriers to their personal growth so that they can become the best version of themselves. And this concept is known as self-actualization. Now, the person-centered approach encourages the client to explore and understand themselves more deeply, including their feelings, beliefs, and behaviors and past experiences. And with this knowledge and understanding, the client will be better equipped to overcome the barriers that they face in the future. Now, throughout this journey, the counsellor provides support and safety. So when employing the person-centered approach, there are three key aspects to remember. The first is that the client is the expert. So according to the person-centered approach, the client is the expert. They know themselves the best, and therefore they are the most qualified person to find their own answers and overcome their issues. The second is that it's non-directive. So this means that the role of the counsellor within a person-centered approach is non-directive. And this means that the role isn't to tell the client what to do. Remember, they're the expert. Instead, the role is to help create a safe and supportive space where the client can explore freely their thoughts and feelings and their experiences. Now, this involves applying the three core conditions of person-centered counselling, which we'll explore next. Now, the third aspect is the actualizing tendency. So as I've previously mentioned, a person-centered approach is underpinned by what we would call an actualizing tendency. And this is the idea that inside every person is a natural force that drives them to grow, develop, and reach their full potential. And this means that each client can be trusted to make their own choices and choose the direction in which they wish to head. So therefore, in summary, person-centered approach in counselling is all about supporting the client to reach their full potential by providing them the space to explore their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Next, let's take a look at the three core conditions of person-centered counselling. So as part of the person-centered approach, Rogers emphasised the need for a special relationship to exist between the counsellor and client. Now, this relationship should provide a safe space for the client to explore their inner thoughts and feelings and encourage the client to find their own way through the difficulty that they face. Now, for this to happen, Rogers proposed that three core conditions must be provided by the counsellor. Now, the first of this is empathy. Now, empathy is the ability to understand and appreciate the client's perspective and their feelings. And it goes beyond sympathy or trying to imagine what they're going through. And it involves putting yourself in the shoes of the client and seeing the world from their point of view. Now, empathy requires active listening and involves seeking to truly grasp the client's experiences, their emotions, and challenges. And by demonstrating empathy, you can show genuine care and understanding, which in turn helps the client to feel heard, validated, and supported. Now, the next core condition is congruence. Congruence means being genuine, authentic, and transparent in the counseling relationship. And it involves being true to who you are without putting up a facade or pretending to be someone else. Now, being congruent in the relationship is important because it fosters trust and authenticity in the counseling relationship. So, when the counselor is genuine and open, the client will feel a greater sense of safety as they trust the counselor's sincerity. Now, this encourages the client to be more open and vulnerable themselves, knowing that they're interacting with someone who's real and trustworthy. So by being congruent, you can provide a model for self-expression and self-acceptance, which encourages the client to explore and accept their own authentic selves. Now, our final core condition is unconditional positive regard. Now, unconditional positive regard involves accepting and valuing the client as a person, regardless of their thoughts, feelings, behaviors, or life choices. And it means holding a really non judgmental and accepting attitude towards the client, even when they may express aspects of themselves that you find challenging or problematic. Now, unconditional positive regard is essential because it helps to create an atmosphere of acceptance and support, and it allows the client to feel safe and secure, knowing that they're not going to be judged or rejected. Now, this acceptance really frees the client to explore their thoughts and emotions without fear of criticism or condemnation. Now, it also encourages the client to develop self-compassion and self-acceptance, which, like we mentioned, are great for personal growth and healing. Now, crucially, by offering the three core conditions to the client, the counsellor can create an environment where the client feels understood, accepted, and able to express their thoughts and emotions freely. Now, in doing so, the counsellor rather, can create a supportive space where the client can explore their issues and find their own ways to overcome difficulties and grow as an individual. Now, it's important to remember that actually all three core conditions must be present and working together in the counseling relationship for this to happen. There we have it. That was a brief introduction to the person-centered approach, where we took a broad overview of the person-centered approach and then took a look at the three core conditions: congruence, empathy, and unconditional positive regard. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.